welcome to my channel. So today's video is about these boho braids. Well, boho slash bora bora, kind of in between, but these braids, yeah. So I'm gonna show you guys how I did it to achieve these results. This is the front, this is the back, this is what it looks like. So to achieve this style, I used the ygwigs bulk human hair in the style deep wave. I used this jam from the beauty supply store. It worked really well though, so if you can find it in the beauty supply store, you can use it, but any jam would work just fine. I used regular braiding hair, pre-shedded braided hair from the beauty supply store as well, and I just used one pack. I didn't even use an entire pack because I did not use much of the braiding hair, and I believe the length that I used in the braiding hair was 28 inches, and the length of the bundle hair or bulk hair was 18 inches. I did use a braiding rack just to make my life easier, so that way it's easy to just have the hair to pull from the rack as opposed to individually braiding and pulling the hair apart. It just kind of helps with the process being smoother. The rat tail comb, mirror, of course I did use a three-way mirror because it just helps me to be able to see the back of my hair so that I can part it very clearly and precisely. I do love, even though I'm braiding my hair for myself, I do love to see the part very smooth and neat. Very, very neat and sharp. Yeah, so I do use a three-way mirror. So yes, that's all I used, and that's all you're gonna need for this style. So I wanted like a super curly hair look as opposed to like braids with curly pieces. So to the back I did more braiding hair and added like 3 pieces of the curly hair to the braid, and as I went up I did like 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6 pieces accordingly. I always add the curly pieces to the ends and then I secure it by tying a knot, like 2 to 3 knots around it. And I did get kind of lazy, so I did also add glue to some of them. I just feel like curly pieces on the end is just the way to go, but this is what the back row looked like. And as I mentioned, I added more curly pieces as I got closer and closer to the front. So as mentioned before, I like my parts to be very clean and neat. So that is what you want to do to ensure that you get a really crisp, really clean look with your braids. It just looks so good when your partings are neat. And then I use jam to make sure that the root stays really neat. I also apply a very little down the strand of the hair and to the ends because I don't want the hair to be slippery when I actually start braiding. So now we're going to get into the actual braiding. You're going to separate that piece into 3 equal pieces. You're going to hold 2 pieces with one hand and the third with the other. And then as you see, I held one side with my index and middle and the other with my thumb, and then the third piece is in the middle. Then I take the curly piece, hold it with my mouth just to control it, and then I grip that piece with my index and add it in, and then I feed the left strand to the right strand, and that's what you want to continue doing as you go down the braid to actually form your braid. As you continue braiding down, you want to add in your piece of braiding hair. You don't have to add in braiding hair, but this is what I did. So you're going to add in the braiding hair the same way that you did the curly piece. You're going to loop it in with your index finger, and then you're going to feed in the right to the left and the left to the right and continue braiding down. As you continue braiding down, you're going to braid down for a little bit, and because I like the front of my hair to be super full and closer with curly pieces closer to the root, I add more curly pieces. And then because I also like the front of my hair to be layered, I don't do a very long braid, so you would find that I add in the curly pieces closer together to the front. So I added in another piece of the curly hair, and then I'm doing that same thing, feeding the right to the left and the left to the right to form my braid, and I continue braiding down. Spaces between your curly pieces could vary. I braid down a couple times. I just kind of estimate based on the length that I want the front piece to be, and that's how I decide the spacing between the curly pieces to the front. So I know I did add like three to four pieces to the front of my head, and then to the back area would have added like anywhere between 7 to 10 pieces, because of course those pieces were longer. I did a layered effect, so because I did a layered effect, you would find that the braids got shorter as I got to the top. So it was longer from the back, and then I got shorter as I got up to the front. So once I get to the bottom, I always end each braid with a curly piece, because I just love to see the curls to the end. So that's what I did. So I added in the curly piece here to the end, braided it down until the end of my hair. Then I took a very small piece of the braiding hair and tied maybe like 2 to 3 or even 4 knots, just for extra security. Sometimes I use knots, sometimes I use glue. Glue is easier, honestly, but then if you want to possibly reuse the curly hair, glue would not be your best friend. But for me, for this braid, I started using glue, and then I just ended up, for some reason or the other, I can't remember if I run out of glue or whatever it may have been, but I just ended up using glue, knots at the end. So once I tied the couple knots, I then separated the braiding hair from the curly piece, and then I cut off that excess piece. And this is what the braids should look like. I then went ahead and dipped my head in hot water. Well, not literally, but I dipped my braids in hot water, because I just feel like the finish of the braid is just so much looser and it just falls the way I want it to. So I always dip my braids in hot water. That is optional, but that's what I did. So in the video, you would have realized that I did not really add much hair, because it was just the piece to the front of my head. So what I did do with respect to this style is I did layer it. So the first few rows, like the first 3 rows, was one length, then the next 2-3 rows was slightly shorter, and so on until I got to the front, because I wanted a layered look, as opposed to everything just being the same length and just dropping. You know, I wanted it to be fuller and just lighter and look more natural. So that's how I approached doing this, and that's how I got these results. Yeah, so of course, because I did that, it means that the pieces to the back, I would have added more hair, and it would have been longer than what I would have done to the top, you know. So that would also be something you want to consider if you want to get it exactly the way that I did it. This is just a full view of how the braid looks from the back. As you can see, you see the layers. This hairstyle was such a lovely hairstyle. Absolutely love it, and would do it again and again and again. It lasted so well. I absolutely enjoyed it, and maintenance was just easy. It was a breeze. I think this hairstyle lasted me like 2 months, and I could have gone longer, but I did not. And I did actually go viral for this on TikTok. You can check it out if you like. It's ygwigs on TikTok. I did post exactly where the hair came from and the links to the hair there as well. If you have any questions, or if I did not give you all the information necessary to achieve this look, please comment below and let me know, and I will definitely see if I can do another tutorial on this look or look similar to it, so that way you can do it on your own and achieve these results. Yes, and I'm looking forward to going along this journey with you guys, and hopefully give you more tutorials and help you guys to achieve these fabulous looks. So don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and you'll definitely see more of me. Bye for now.